Hello guys, welcome to another brand new psychological call. This is episode number 3. Today I have a banger for you guys, talking about something that's going to be very important. We're going to talk a little bit of technical, and we're going to talk also heavily about system winning championship, how we can develop that system, how can I help you create and build a mindset or an identity around that system that can help you break out of your rat race and eventually develop the ability to trade and do what you need to do full time. And it is not going to be an easy journey, but as long as you really take note into things that we talked about consistently, right? In this psychological call, like the goal of this call, really, when you pay attention to what I'm saying, is not to copy verbatim what I have done in my journey, right? It's not to necessarily take that in and say, let me see if I can duplicate it and copy that better. It's to look at the principle behind it, the method behind the way I have done things, and then essentially find ways to duplicate it in your own life, in your own ways, and add your own swagger to it. That is really the goal, right? We may have faced similar obstacles in life, but the way that we resolve it is always going to be unique to our circumstances. So the only way to resolve your problem, your situation, and overcome certain situation and an obstacle you may face is to think from first principle and also apply your own spin to it. The moment you realize that, that's when you are beginning to really accelerate your learning phase, right? Because you're not understanding how to take information, reiterate off of that and then essentially transform it to match the way that you're supposed to best apply it, and also help you even accelerate it even faster in everything that you are doing. So I just wanted to make that a quick intro, remind you that you have extreme amount of power in terms of the thing that you can accomplish. You have to remember that it is okay to take lesson from other successful individuals, but ultimately still remember that if you want to achieve success, you have to build and carve your own path. That path must be something very much custom, based on your personality. In order for you to understand that, you need to make sure that you understand yourself as a human being. If you're not someone that does a lot of self-reflection, it's going to be very tough for you to take things from other successful avenues and transform it in your own. That's also something that you need to be mindful of. I remember when I was living in Houston a few years ago, it was probably one of the period of time in my life where I was the most lonely. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I barely had any friends. I was homeless for maybe for a week or two, trying to figure out a place to stay and stuff like that. That was the first time I moved out of my mom's house and place, and I had essentially moved out there to close the marketing client, and I was trying to pretty much live by myself and emancipate a little bit, trying to be a man and then take charge of my own life. Because I realized if I stayed in the same town that I grew up in, it would have been extremely tough for me to probably have the right mindset, because I realized I was thinking a little bit differently than everybody that was around me. Everybody was just talking about mundane stuff, and it felt like I was an alien in that environment because my vision for what I wanted out of life was much bigger. So I was only able to uncover and find more people that thought like me when I moved away from that environment. And it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done. I mean, ever since that, I traveled around the world. Currently, I'm in Bangkok. Who knows, maybe next year I might be in Japan, and who knows, after that I might be somewhere else. I lived in South America and in a bunch of other places. And that has opened my mind in terms of the world and what this life has to offer, and what is true freedom, what is true wealth. True wealth has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the ability to have full agency over yourself and any situation that you are in, have more sovereignty over your destiny, and the ability to not be bound by any sort of land, geographic limitation, or of anything of that sort. But I wanted to make sure I said that so you understand that when I was in Houston, I was trying to figure out how to build more of a network, right? How to build more friends and things like that. And it was very tough because I was not driving at the time. So I was trying to make friends, but it was very, very tough. I had a very small circle there. But one thing that I took and essentially improved upon, and one thing that helped me, was being by myself and being lonely. Maybe thinking what do you mean by being lonely? Well, being by myself every single day and then waking up, going on a walk and going on jog, having a routine, not really hanging out with too many people. I would hang out maybe with a few friends that I was living with, because I had a few roommates when I eventually found a place to stay in. I had a few roommates that I would stay with when I eventually find a small, tight-knit circle. Maybe every 2 weeks or maybe every week and a half, we'll hang out, give or take. I would be really alone most of the time. So Houston taught me how to enjoy my own company. I guess that's the lesson that I'm trying to get to with this whole explanation that I'm trying to give here. that was the benefit of Houston more than anything else, right? I had the joy of obviously being away from that environment that I was brought up in, where I moved away from my family, moved away from the place where I essentially went to school, high school, college, and stuff like that. But it gave me clarity. It gave me the importance of essentially just being at home and then just spending multiple days just reflecting on scenarios and reflecting on how I dealt with situations, reflecting on like what is the best way to mature and be more mature in certain scenarios. I'll play and role play scenario in my head about a certain situation and do a lot of reflection as to what I think I've done well and things that I've done maybe not so well. And this has helped me tremendously, understanding how to build and scale really fast, because I realize most people don't even do this. They don't do a lot of self-reflection on their action. They don't do a lot of self-reflection in their journey in terms of like what really is going to help me get to the next level. But more beyond that, what is that I'm currently doing wrong? What is that I'm currently doing right? Let's celebrate the things that I'm doing right, and then let's diminish the things that I'm doing wrong, because I'm actually able to see those things. But if your life is too cluttered, if you have too many things that you are facing day to day, it is going to be extremely tough to understand how to view those things that you need to improve upon. You're going to be blind to if you are too distracted in your life. You're going to be too distracted to see the thing that you're doing wrong, because you're going to think that everything that you're doing is perfect. You're going to probably notice and maybe notice some conflict, right? And an issue that you have with people, but you're never going to really take accountability in those situations, because you're going to always think the issue rests with the person that you're having the beef with or having the issue with, and never you. You're always doing everything perfect. You never really have any issue with your tone. You don't have any issue with the way that you're handling situation. You're not able to see sometimes, you may have been the person that initiated the conflict in dealing with that person. You can never really reflect deeply and not look at situation to be right or wrong, but look at situation, how can you improve and stop cycle a repetition of the same issue over and over, because you will have an issue with someone and then you will go somewhere else and you will have the same issue with another person. And if you see that issue repeating multiple times, then guess what? The issue that you had in the past with that previous person, you were the one that was actually wrong. Because if you have an issue, if you have a problem that repeats multiple times in your life, I'm going to say this very much loud, very much in your life, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then you consistently have that issue repeating, guess what? The issue does not rest with the person that you have the beef with, it rests with you. It rests with you because there's 2 ways to handle that situation. Either you really have some major issue that you need to self-reflect and take accountability because you're the one causing that issue, right? Or causing that problem to continuously repeat. That's one way to look at it. Or you are continuously doing something where you're not filtering the people that are disrespecting you and breaking past your boundary. Meaning that you may not be the one that's doing anything wrong per se, or initiating all the conflict and issue that you're essentially experiencing. However, you're sure not doing a good job at removing those people out of your life. Once you see that happening over and over, or you're not really good at setting boundaries. So either way, you have to look at the situation and look at it, how can I resolve this versus I'm the victim? Because one mindset will never help you accomplish anything, and the other one will simply always look for the way that you can solve any sort of issue that you're dealing with. So you want to be able to understand, where do you lie? When you have an issue that happens in your life, which direction do you normally take? Do you have the reflex to take? Sit down and reflect on that. When I was in Houston, that's something I did heavily. I realized I didn't have the best relationship with my mom at the time when I left DC. We didn't talk that much as we talk now. I mean, now we're very close and she respects me heavily and then I respect her as well. And growing up, it was I had a very tough relationship with her. We didn't really see eye to eye on a lot of different things. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if that was ever going to improve, even after leaving. And for multiple months, I don't think we talked. But over time, I realized that I gave away my agency and control over my emotion and insecurity and security away by letting that being a big issue. So I realized over time I needed to rectify that situation, not wait for her to do so. Because at the end of the day, I can either be the victim and cry and complain about it, or even if I felt like I was right in those situations, or I can just be the bigger man and look for ways to resolve and rectify, even if I'm the one that's wrong. Now, you can only do so if someone is listening. So if the person does not want to listen, you can't really force it. You have to wait for them to be ready to listen and being able to hear you. And that's the other part where you have to understand that everything has a season. certain things are going to happen within a specific time, and other things are going to take multiple seasons before you can see it actually unfold the way it needs to. And it's all about timing. You're not forcing the timing. The moment you force timing, you may potentially have the same issue, because you might get frustrated that the person that you're dealing with does not want to operate in a way that you view certain things, when in reality they're just not ready to operate in that perspective, to operate in that dynamic yet. So you must be patient and letting things come to you in some situation. Otherwise, it is going to be very tough navigating the world. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was going to be the cheat code to go full-time into trading. So now we're going to talk about the biggest psychological improvement that you guys can do to boost your performance. And when it comes down to trading, this is going to be probably the cheat code as to how you guys can get to the point where you can go from trading part-time, have consistent income, and then trading full-time and have consistent income. What you want to do is apply the same philosophy that you guys have applied when working a full-time job. And I'm going to explain to you why that's physiology or psychology, that way of navigating and thinking is helpful. The same way that we wait for a 2 weeks paycheck is the same way that you will be able to get out of that same rabbit hole. Because in this world that we live in, we have been sold a lie that the biggest lie, in my personal opinion, is passive income. The wealthy and the elite and the powerful understand this. Suffering, it is not optional in this world. From the moment you are born, you have to accept suffering. The only difference between people that are successful and the one that are not is the people that are successful understand that suffering is something that you're going to experience. Whether you work at a job, whether you're building a business, whether you're trading, suffering going to come in different shape and form. The only difference is that you have to pick your suffering. You have to choose your suffering. And as long as you enjoy your suffering, you will be successful. Now, the reason why I say passive income is a lie sold to you to keep you poor is because it's told to you in a sense that there's a level of income, there's a level of wealth that once you essentially reach that level, you no longer have to essentially work active income as much or decrease your level of outward output in order to generate the same level of income. When in reality, if you decrease your outward output towards essentially generating income and generating the same level of success that you have done when starting your journey, you are not going to be able to generate and maintain that level of wealth. It's almost impossible. And even if you did for a period of time, you might be able to, but your health also going to take a hit. There's going to be detriment to the way that you're performing in other areas of your life, which will eventually lead you to lose it. What do I mean by that? Let's say if you just get $5 million handed to you. Most people are told, if I got $5 million handed to me and then I was able to just put that into some dividend and investment and getting paid every single month, I'll be set for life. Getting that much money right off the bat can be a blessing, also as it can be a curse. And here's how it can be a curse. If you immediately quit your job after getting that much money and then choose to no longer have something that challenges you every single day, your mind will go idle. And then you may not notice, but something that is extremely well known is that an idle mind is a devil's playground. If you are not careful and you are simply continuously idle with the way that you're operating with your mind, it is going to be very easy for you to find ways to give back the profit that you have generated or that $5 million. It is extremely important that you understand this, because if you are not consistently making sure that you are picking the suffering that you want, you're picking the hard work that you want, life will hand you another form of it, okay? That's a theory that I have put together, which is the transfer of chaos. Life is chaotic, life is suffering, right? The transfer of chaos and suffering. We can never rid ourselves of chaos. We can never rid ourselves of suffering. We only choose the one that we want to embody and walk alongside with in our life. Once you understand and accept this reality, life becomes a lot more enjoyable, because you realize that the matrix that you're being sold, that is a lie. Especially if you're someone who's an entrepreneur. If you think of the matrix as something to break out of, if you think of the matrix as something that, you must escape, then you're going to have a very, very tough time navigating through life, because you're going to look at every single thing that you're doing as, I'm trying to get to a final destination. I'm trying to get to an end goal. When in reality, it should never be like that. Your goal, working towards everything that you're working day to day, should be, how can I improve my way of suffering? How can I minimize chaos and control this chaos? Because there's always going to be some form of chaos. If you get out in the world, you take a motorbike, you take a taxi, or you drive a car, there's always a chance of you being in an accident. How do you minimize the chance of you being in an accident? You drive better, you drive a bit slower, you wear a helmet, you wear protective gear. You do stuff that can minimize chaos from happening, right? Life is a constant transfer of chaos and maintenance of suffering. You must embody that reasoning. You must reject the idea that there's a matrix out to get you. There's no such matrix out to get you. So you must understand that, because if you don't, you're going to spend your entire life fighting against something that's not real. You're going to spend your whole life working, trying to build up some saving account, thinking that once I've reached that level of saving, that's when I will really enjoy life. And I will really start experiencing things that can allow me to be happy. When in reality, once you get there, you realize that it really does not bring you happiness. It brings you more emptiness that you ever felt in the first place. So you must realize that the first thing that will help you break out and have consistency with trading and allow you to really scale is building patience. That's the real first key. You must embrace and build patience. So the way that you do that, and I'm going to tell you the formula that I've utilized when trading and when building my escape route to full-time trading. So first of all, whether you're trading funded account or trading live account, you got to understand this. Never put your eggs all in one basket. You must always diversify and have multiple portfolio that you're trading. If you only have one portfolio that you're trading, that will definitely put a lot of pressure on your performance, because we are bound to make mistakes. Let me just say that to you. It doesn't matter how good your strategy is. It doesn't matter how good you think your strategy is. You are bound to eventually make some type of mistake at some point. I guarantee you that. So you got to understand that, number one, right? You are going to make mistakes. It is inevitable. So once you do, how is your system designed to ensure that you're not rebuilding everything from scratch, right? You're not starting from zero and then starting all over again. Because when you're starting all over, guess what? You may have wins, or you may have setup that could have gotten you a multiple RR in wins and then help you continuously move the needle forward. But because you're no longer in the market in that period of time, let's say if you have a live account, you fund a small live account, trying to grow it and then scale, maybe a little bit aggressively. So maybe you have a $5,000 or $10,000 live account, and you're risking $500, $400. You're thinking to yourself, if I'm just able to add another additional $4,000 a month, I might be able to do something more enjoyable with my life. You only have one account. And once you do a lot of stuff, let's say if you have a really bad weekend, then guess what? You find yourself maybe down 30%, maybe 20% on your account. And then you feel like, you have a minor setback, or you have a bunch of funded account. Maybe you have a portfolio of 500 account, 50K, which is 200,000 total. And you're all trading all those accounts together. And then you have a pretty bad week. And then on your buffer, maybe you're down 30% or 40%. Because all your accounts are impacted all together, guess what? It's impacting the way that you go in and attack them the following week. And let's say, for example, by any bad luck, you take a massive loss, bigger than expected, and some issue happened, and then you are not able to stand it correctly, and then you take a massive loss. Then guess what? You're done. Your account get blown. All your account are gone. In a matter of 2 days, you have blown effort that you put in months to build, or maybe weeks to build, to get all those funded accounts, and no payout accomplished. Now, I want you to shift that mindset. I want you to think about it this way. Instead of putting all your account in one basket, imagine if you were to just diversify those accounts and then take 3 instead of the 4 accounts all traded together. Get 2 accounts, you trade it separately. You take another set of 2 accounts, you trade it separately. If you have a bad week where that week your trading does not yield you great result, then guess what? The following week, you can still come back and trade the other fresh portfolio with a fresh mindset without any sort of emotional attachment, because those accounts will be completely fresh of any sort of impact from the previous week. Now, yes, you have lost those other accounts, but that following week, just based on statistics and data, you're more likely, if you simply trade that next week, those other separate accounts, and then you trade up your, let's say, new funded account to pass, you are very likely to pass, number one, pass those new accounts, but number 2, have a better performance than the previous week. Because if your system is a well-built system and then you're simply going through a losing streak, when you have a bad week, the following week is typically a good week. But most of the time, you don't get to experience those good weeks, because during the bad weeks is typically when we blow most of our portfolio, we blow most of our funding. And we find ourselves in a position where the following week, instead of being able to trade, maybe out of drawdown or maybe trading funded account because you managed the loss really well, we find ourselves trading evaluation during those amazing good market conditions and potentially even passing those evaluations in that following week, but we're not able to capitalize on those really, really good week that follows some of those very, very bad weeks. Therefore, you need to put an effort in managing your portfolio in such ways, right? Now, that's going to be the step one for this system that I'm describing. Step two is going to be whenever you reach the payout goal for that specific period of time, where maybe you may have to do 7 trading days or 10 trading days, depending on the firm that you are with. So you hit that trading day threshold, right? And then you request your payout, and then they pay you out. Once they pay you out, what do you do right after that? You just keep doing the exact same thing you've been doing, right? And then you park maybe with another sort of account, you do the same thing, but every 2 weeks, you trade in the sense where you're trying to request a payout every 2 to 3 weeks, where it matches your performance in terms of receiving a paycheck at your job. Now, sometimes you may even reach your payout goal in terms of the monetary goal on your account within a few days, but you must essentially just hold on and place a small position every single day to meet the remainder, right? That's typically how it is with most firms. If you have met the consistency rate or the consistency rule, and you also have hit the amount, the money that you need to hit in order for you to be able to withdraw. So with that said, that's how I would handle it, right? Ensuring that every 2 weeks to 3 weeks, you are setting yourself up. With this strategy, let's go into specifics. If you have a 50K account that you're managing, me personally, if your strategy gives you entry consistently, meaning that maybe you get 2 to 3 entry a day for your model, for your system, I would say 1 to 3 entry per day that you know that you're getting for sure, then I would risk a little bit closer to $500 to $600, somewhere around that range for your model. Especially if the win rate is right above, I would say right above 75%, 70% range. Maybe risk to reward might be right around 1 to 2, 1 to 3. You probably want to risk right around that $500 range. The reason why is because you also don't want to waste too much time building that initial buffer. Let's say the $4,000 to $5,000, so you can meet the requirement in terms of the amount, the monetary goal, in order for you to request. If you waste too much time in this phase, you get this euphoria usually when you just get a funded account. So if you're in a really good market condition for your system, you really just want to be able to move really fast in building that buffer to 4 or 5K, so you can be in a position where you can request. So for a few days, if your model works really well, it allows you to essentially put yourself in a position where you can essentially have a batch of account that will be requested payout for that next cycle. You only need 3 to 4 days in a row where your system works really, really well, and then you are good to go. That's really all you really need. You don't need 10 days of good price action or 2 weeks of good price action. You just need few days, very much few days of good price action moving in your favor. And that's more than enough to allow you to have that type of performance. So let's say if you have 3 days or 4 days, right, you're risking $600, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. So one day you come in, you do maybe between $800 to $1,200. Another day you come in, you do another like maybe $900. Another day you come in, you do $2,000, that puts you right around maybe $3,500 to $4,000 and some change. You would definitely be in a position where you already have met maybe the 30 to 40% consistency rule that most firms have as a requirement. And then maybe you trade another 4 days and then that's it. So after that, you only need to meet the requirement of your remaining 5 or 6 trading days. So from that point on, you're just placing a small position on your account to meet that daily requirement and essentially being able to position to request it afterward. So once you have done that, you are good to go. You simply now begin working maybe on an additional evaluation. Maybe you get one evaluation on the side. You begin trading that. As every day you place in that position, and then you mentally checked out of trading that account, and then you're simply waiting for payout. Once the payout comes in and you request it, you want to begin again doing daily position placing on your account, anticipating that once the payout clear, because once the payout begin processing, it may take an additional day or 2 for the payout to essentially get approved and actually get cut out of your account, so you can essentially continue trading without any fear of the potential new position throwing the consistency rule if you take a loss and essentially making you lose that payout. So once that is done, the money is taken out of your account. The next thing that you want to do every single day from that point on, just place the minimum trade requirement until the money is removed. Once the money is removed, you can go back to trading the account and look for this next 3 days. But the benefit now, instead of risking $600 to $700, you will be risking what? You'll be risking $300. You'll be risking around 50%, 40% less than what you would normally risk. So if you risk $600, $500 in the first batch to get to that level, right, to $4,000 to $5,000, then you risk now anywhere between $300, $250 to $350, somewhere right around that range. That's how much your position size will be. The reason why is because the first time when you just get the account, you have to first build a $2,000 buffer, $2,500 buffer. That's going to be your buffer, right? So that's why I say it takes a lot more initially when you get the account to set it up correctly. But once you do so, you no longer have to worry about that massive buffer in terms of setting it up. All you have to worry about now is meeting a $1,500 or to $2,000 additional profit level. Since you have 10 days to accomplish that, you no longer need to risk a tremendous amount of your buffer to do so, right? Because now within 3 days, you can now hit that $1,500, risking the half of the same amount. In the first roundabout, you would need to risk double of that in order for you to reach eligibility with your payout, because you have to also build the buffer that need to sit in your account in order for you to utilize on the next payout trading cycle. This is the reason why you do it this way. So think of it like 2 phases, right? First phase, you have 1 phase for evaluation. After that phase of evaluation is passed, you have funding evaluation. You have funding phase 1. Funding phase 1, you're risking a little bit high to build that buffer and then get at least $1,500 to $2,000 in payout. Once that is essentially built out, and then you make the request, that first request, then the next phase is phase 2, funded account, where you're risking now $200 to $300, and then you're putting yourself in a position now where you don't have to really risk a lot. Like, it's gonna take you maybe somewhere around 8 to 10 trades based on your buffer level now for you to lose that account, which is a great position. Versus in that first roundabout, if you are being too conservative to trying to build that buffer, if you go to good market condition, you're not going to be able to maximize it and get that cycle of account that you're managing at that time to get to where they need to get to really fast, so you can move on and manage another cycle of account. So the goal here is that you understand that there's going to be a period of time when your strategy delivers a great move for multiple days, but that is not going to be forever. So while it does so, before you go through a losing streak, you want to take advantage of that and essentially just look for the period of time, not looking at the market condition, just simply letting the law of average and probability play in your favor, and letting the right cycle of account that you're managing be the one that takes benefit of that, and the one that does not, they get recycled and pushed aside, and then you move relatively fast through that whole process. By doing that, you get to pay out much faster. It may not be with your entire portfolio, but you get a few set of accounts that get to pay out much faster, and it allows the money that you make from the account that survived to be used to replace the account that failed, and then continuously rinse and repeat that process. From a bird's eye view perspective, it looks like this. You have maybe 800 accounts, you trade 2 at a time. This week you trade 2, and then maybe you take a loss, 3 losses in a row, most of your buffer is gone. So maybe you take a last chance ditch, you're trying to revive it, and then let's say you blow it, and then you move on to the next phase, the next batch of 2 accounts, you activate the next 2. So Friday comes in, and then the next week, that batch does really well. Within 2-3 days, you're able to get that account to $4,000, risking $600-700 per position. And then now you have a batch of accounts that have met that criteria. And then you don't need to worry about trading them because they have met the consistency rate, and they have met all the rules that's needed in order for it to make the request for payout. So what you want to do from that point on, you want to essentially trade the next set of account, or you want to trade evaluations. So maybe you replace the evaluation that the funded account that you lost, but pretty much picking up 2 new funded account evaluation, right, to pass, as you essentially waiting for that 2 weeks or 10 trading days to be met. And then you don't activate any new account until you get that payout, right? If you already met condition for payout and you're simply waiting for payout to essentially be dispersed, you want to simply be patient. Don't want to be greedy. You want to develop the patience to simply be holding on and then waiting for that 10-day to come. When that 10-day come, the only thing that you're allowed to buy in that period of time is heavily discounted evaluation, and that's it. Only up to 2 in that whole waiting phase. Once that waiting phase is over, you request your payout, you get the payout, boom. You can now activate maybe 2 accounts. Those 2 accounts that you lost, reactivate them so they can essentially replace it. And then you can trade a new batch of 2 account sets and do the same thing. Those 2 accounts, let's say set fair for that week. It's okay, it's only 2 accounts. You still have those accounts that you build up the entire buffer. You get a payout, so you have about $3,000 left on those buffer. You're trying to build new account to those levels, to that same level of buffer, and then do that same exact process, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then once you get to maybe, let's say if you have 15 account altogether, you can give yourself a raise. Now, instead of like trading 2 account per cycle, you can maybe trade, let's say, 3 account instead of 2 account. So per payout cycle, when you reach 7 payout cycle, instead of only getting, I don't know, 3,000 to 4,000, now you can potentially get 4,500 to 6,000. You give yourself a little raise, right? A 30% bump in your raise, on your own raise. Because you know what? You've been managing account really well. You've been doing a pretty good job of being consistent. You maintaining your grade over buying new funded account or activating new account until you get payout for, when you're within a cycle of an account. And then you are really sticking to that whole system and process. And it is allowing you to making sure that you're not giving money back to the prop firm, because remember, the prop firm, they have statistics, they have data. Even if someone gets a $10,000 payout, $5,000 payout, they're very more likely to blow that money back into the prop firm, to give it right back over a period of time. So the prop firm plays a long-term game. They understand that as long as the rules are designed the way that they are, there's no need to worry about people getting massive payout. They're going to give that money back at some point in some way, shape, or form. So you don't want to fall into those statistics. You want to be able to leverage a system built that you have to allow you to be in a position where you can get out of the statistic from traders that just simply give the money back and just play the casino rule, instead of you leveraging the casino and then printing money month in and month out. And then that's how you want to leverage the money that you get from those prop firms to build your live account slowly. Because if you're able to get 3,000 to 4,000 in payout every 2 weeks, I mean, to anybody listening, that's anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000, which is a great first level. And once you get to that point and you're doing that consistently, you can slowly build your live account and then slowly scale to 4 accounts that you're managing per cycle, and then slowly adding an additional 2,000 to 4,000 per month on the overall account size that you're managing. So that is the benefit of managing it this way.